from Fox 4. New proposal would give ID cards to illegal immigrants could be used for air travel. So I decided to research some basic definitions. Do you know what a country is defined as? Anybody know what a country is defined as?
A country?
Yes.
Ooh.
How do you define the word country?
I can give what I think is a definition. It might not match up exactly.
Let's hear it.
I would say an area or region with some degree of jurisdiction over it, and has to have a border.
The region has jurisdiction? It's like a rock monster owns the land that it is?
Well, I would say, okay, a piece of land or a region with a border. It's got some geographical...
And you need one more component.
...capacity, and then some type of governance structure.
People.
A
country is defined as a nation with set borders.
Okay.
And a nation is a group of people with a shared history and set of laws. History, culture, or set of laws.
Okay.
So when you combine that, you have nation and country. They're not the same thing. The United States is a country.
Okay.
It is a nation with borders. So when we have a wave of a million plus illegal immigrants entering the country, then you have no country if the borders can't be enforced.
So the Latin for country is against or opposite. And then the other part of it from the medieval Latin is against a lying opposite land. So you're literally in opposition to the other land that is close to you.
So when you have a million people enter the borders and there's nothing being done about it, when you have the government facilitating the trafficking of children, which the Biden administration has been doing in the dead of night secretly, there's no borders.
No.
You have no country. Now, about that nation. Yes, a shared history. Well, you don't have a shared history with people coming from other nations entering in violation of your laws. So there's no shared history, and there's no shared laws, and there's no shared culture. There is no nation. There is no country. Giving ID cards to illegal immigrants that could be used for air travel, this is just creating open citizenship.
Why do you think they're doing this? Again,
It's
this
destroying
strike,
the United States.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
actively destroying
To
the
me,
US.
this is the controlled demolition again, because it's like, well, why would you do that?
Let me
Well.
simplify real quick
Yeah.
for everybody at home. Zuby, let's say you have a big granary. Let's say you have a big storage facility full of food. And your guards open the doors and say, everybody come on in.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, but that's where I keep all my stuff. And they're like, bigot.
Yeah.
So, look, this country is wealthy, but you can't just have an endless flow of people coming in. Even Bernie Sanders said the exact same thing at a rally in 2015. He said, heavens, if we open the borders, we'd be flooded by the world's poor. We can't do that. Yeah, back when Bernie cared about the working class, I guess.
I think that people believe that the avalanche only flows one direction. And so they're just getting on board. They're trying to surf the wave. They're like, nationalism is done. Globalism is now one earthen country. And let's just do it. And
Not possible.
Yeah,
Not
it doesn't
even
seem... It's going to be abrupt, and a lot of people will get hurt in the process.
No, it's just
a world government, duh. People
world-
will definitely seem to want that.
We are
I'm going to call
not-
it the liberal international economy, by the way. That's LIE from here on out.
Yeah, that I love
Clever.
this.
Yes, the lie.
So when you go to Egypt, for instance,
Yeah.
Egyptians aren't allowed to gamble or eat pork, like by government law.
Yeah.
So how are we supposed to have a one world government when it's like, we're going to get a big shipment of pork in for our bacon, and then a bunch of other countries are like, no.
No, it
Our
can't be
tax
done.
dollars can't go to that. You're not allowed to do that. There's got
That's
to be.
essentially what they're trying to do, making entertainment into something global.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
They
There's
can't
n- there's-
fit.
You know what global
Corporatism.
entertainment
There's not
looks
even
like?
a common language. Like, you can't even communicate properly with most people in the world. So.
Let me tell you guys. You ever see the Just for Laugh gags?
No.
Oh, I think so.
They're like those YouTube videos where there's one where it's really funny. A little girl, she has 4 buckets. Two of them are full completely with change. Then 2 of them have a false top with change on top. And so she walks over, or she waves someone over, and then she asks them for help carrying. She grabs the fake light buckets. It's like a little girl, and she carries them. And the other people try to lift the heavy things full of change. They can't do it. And they're like, how is this little girl carrying this? There's no dialogue at all, just music. This was entertainment made for a global audience, not a word being said. So when you want to create global entertainment, no dialogue.
That's how the trailer for Avatar was.
Exactly.
The second Avatar movie. All just like B-roll of CGI oceans and aliens and jungles and like ambient music. And I'm like, what am I watching right now? What is the story?
There's none. It's just
Like,
that's it.
Yeah. I'm not worried about one world government.
Low
That
IQ.
one's not going to happen.
I mean, no, I think it will happen, just not
You think
now.
it'll happen?
I think it's an inevitability. I think it's impossible to avoid.
How so? Why do you think that?
So technological advancement, the rapid communications development is going to result in a global shared culture, just not anytime soon. Soon as by soon I mean like 5 to 10 years. But you give it a couple of generations, especially with if we have air travel, then I think it's possible to have one world government through cultural expansion. But they're also shutting down air travel. But they're also creating metaverse and virtual reality. So already, I used to play video games with people in Oceania and China and Japan, like World of Warcraft, for instance. Those people are friends. They have cultural bonds stronger than their next door neighbors. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing that precipitates one world government.
That's why
I don't think most people are going to have any remote interest in that.
It's
I think
not
it's
about
an
whether
extraordinarily hard sell.
what is.
I don't think you're not going to get majority of the world onto VR and the metaverse and all that. I don't think so.
I think you will. I
think-
don't know if it'll be the iteration that we're seeing now, but bro, we're already there. You live on Twitter. That's your virtual person.
I'm not normal. Like you'll get some people. There's 8 billion plus people in this world, and most people live in lives nothing like what.
And
we've got.
what did Mark Zuckerberg, Google, and Starlink, what have they been, and Elon Musk, what have they been trying to do over the past 10 years?
They're trying to connect people in various ways.
They
They
had Project Loon, where they were like, can we get internet to, like the middle of Africa with giant balloons floating in the stratosphere, broadcasting. We've got low orbit satellite technology. They know they need to wire all of these people. That's what I'm saying. Once you get everybody on the internet, and there's such luxury that comes with being online, such advantage, that's what precipitates the expansion.
I think you'll
into a
get
global
everyone on the internet. I don't think you're going to get everyone running around in headsets or sitting there in
Well,
headsets.
that's like saying, I can't imagine everyone's going to put a vinyl record player in their home, or like it's Joe Biden saying.
I think these are really different. I think they're quite different.
When we get to the point where your Neuralink implant is put in at birth and you don't have a say in the matter, yeah, we'll get there.
What makes you? Why be so pessimistic in that? I assume you think this is a bad thing.
It's not pessimistic.
Do you think that's a bad thing?
I think it's a neutral thing. I think people. I think it's a relatively neutral thing. I think technology is not good or bad. I do think it leans toward the bad because we know corrupt people will exploit all of this for personal gain, and we could potentially end up in an equilibrium type future where everyone has their emotions and thoughts suppressed, and the global leaders live freely and enjoy the perks of being human.
Yeah.
But ultimately, look what Twitter has done. Look what Facebook and YouTube have become. The rapid expansion of social media in only 10 years. People are going online and they're already existing with a digital version of themselves. And it's only expanded more and more. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg's legless metaverse is not going to be the version of Wired that everyone gets into. But already, AOC, for instance, is not representing New York's 14. She's representing progressive Twitter.
Sure.
She gets money because one person in every city may have a fringe worldview, but together online, they make up a massive, powerful economic bloc. They support someone like AOC, and then she wins. Her ideas are unpopular and wouldn't have won, but because all of the weird fringe far left people were able to raise money online. So that created something that exists outside of a nation. I saw this back going to 2010, and we've seen it further. Look at Ukraine. Look at warfare over the past 10 years when you have individual actors joining nation states in conflict, when hackers in the United States were aiding in the revolutions in North Africa and the Middle East. This is global government. When you have U.S. citizens teaming up with a network of citizens and then going and fighting in Ukraine, this is global government. It is the precursor. It's coming.
I don't think so.
I think
we'll see.
We need one. I don't know if we need it, but one language. You'd mentioned earlier, not everybody speaks one language. I thought
Not even
English.
close to it.
It would be English, just because of capitalism and the way corporatism is putting McDonald's all over the place, and people watch Hollywood movies. I thought for sure the whole world will be speaking English. It'll be considered like common in D&D, but I don't know if that's the case now.
No, it'll be Mandarin.
We need to get internet to everybody and fresh water to everybody, and then I
Why?
think in order for
Let's take
global
the internet
government.
away
I
from
see
people.
what you're saying.
I
thought you were saying you wanted
don't
to
need-
do it.
I kind of do, because I think the other option is self-destruction. If we don't connect, we're going to we'll fight unless we're together. unified.
you
Is
don't-
the
you
internet
don't need to be-
togetherness?
You don't need
It's
to
a
be-
form of
in any
unity
way?
for sure. Like what we're doing right now, there's like 50,000 people watching live or something like that. It's intense unity.
No,
I
no,
disagree
not
that that's
everyone-
a community, though.
Yeah, not everyone needs to be unified for there not to be severe conflict. You can't unify everybody. Like people are just too freaking different, man.
But not,
This is
not
something
necessarily
that-
like we all have to do the same thing, but that we all have some sort of common purpose or ideal.
I mean, we do as human beings. I mean, I think that's always existed. But past a certain level, people are too different, and people have such different interests. And you travel around the world to go to different countries. They're not all.
People need conflict.
Yeah, they're not all joining.
No,
They don't need
it's-
a
it's-
fight.
it's hard
but
enough
they need
to
conflict.
it's hard enough to reunite
They
the
need
USA.
conflict resolution.
It's hard
Why-
enough to unite the USA, let alone the world.
One proposed hypothesis. I'm not an evolutionary biologist, psychologist, or anthropologist, but why is it that Europe advanced more than the Americas? Why did the Native American
Coffee.
populations?
Man, did they go
Proximity.
on nitro when they
Proximity.
inserted coffee
Right,
into their
proximity. The European tribes were
Roman roads?
They were boxed in a peninsula with very little room to flee to. So when resources would become strained, they'd kill each other to survive, causing a tit-for-tat expansion of technologies in order to survive. In the Americas, it was so vast, the tribes would just leave. So if you look at animals, for instance, badgers, why are they so vicious? They're burrowing animals. They have one dimension. When they're confronted with an attacker at the front of their burrow, they can either fight or they can die. So of course, natural selection predicted that they'd be vicious. Birds, why don't birds attack you? Why do they run away? Because they have multiple dimensions. They have 3 dimensions. Then you just go up and leave. So they're much less likely to require conflict, more likely to survive if you escape the battle. In Europe, you had humans, nowhere to escape to. It's a peninsula. So in certain parts, it's like fight or don't. In the Americas, it's like, I got everywhere else to be. So I'm not going to fight you if I don't have to. When two different groups of people are fighting next to each other for a long enough period of time, they're constantly one-upping each other. It's an artificial evolutionary conflict happening technologically. So if humans today stopped fighting and there was no conflict, what would they do? Play video games all day?
Not much, yeah.
Watch porn all day? And this is what we're starting to see. There's no conflict, so what do people do? It's Wall-E. Get fat, sit in their lounge chairs and complain and just want free stuff to be pleasured and gratified. That's what happens.
Yeah. One thing I've been thinking about a lot recently, especially when it comes to like children now or the next generation and so on, is, I think everyone understands and realizes that as human beings, as individuals, and even as a wider society, you need conflict and struggle and hardship in order to develop a resilience, right? Develop grit, resilience, a stronger personality, ability to withstand stuff. And I think so many of the problems that we have right now and we're dealing with in the West, as Tim's alluded to already, is just people are weak. People are fragile emotionally. Oh my gosh, you misgendered me. Like the whole woke, it's all based in weakness. It's based in victimology, nerf the world instead of making yourself stronger. That's really been the attitude for quite a while now. And I often wonder if there is a way, maybe the answer is no, but is there a way to without taking people through this certain grind of hardship, is there a way to consistently, say, raise strong-minded and even physically strong children without, who aren't just going to grow up to be these lame snowflakes or whatever you want to call them, without having to go through necessarily all the same nonsense that their parents or ancestors did?
There's a viral post, it's hilarious, where some Antifa person is like, you better believe the right is arming up and training, and you better be as equally trained and armed as they are for the coming conflict. And what do you think the left's response was to that?
When we say the left, who we...
Leftists, Antifa, etc. What was their response to someone on the left saying, you need to start training and get ready for a conflict with the right?
You can't tell me what to do.
No.
No.
No, ban
Some
guns.
of us aren't physically
Disabled.
capable.
Come on.
Your tweet is ableist.
Oh, wow.
It's wild.
Okay, I did.
And then they apologize saying, we understand that not everyone is able to physically train and there are other ways to help. Oh.
That was
That's
so
amazing.
sad. A lot of them just ended up saying, "Man, I'm just so depressed.
Who-
It's fine
yep.
if it all
Was this on
ends."
Twitter?
Yep. One guy was like, "Yo, I'm depressed. Just use me as a human shield."
Oh, wow.
What
It's
the
like-
heck?
You know what? I know why they're depressed too.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson, man,
He killed it.
He's well, the depression, he's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's saving young people in general if they just listen to him. Yo, people are depressed because they have no purpose.
Yep.
They have no drive, no internal conflict,
Mm-hmm.
no responsibility. They're just sitting around staring at the TV, and be like, "What for?"
Yeah. Yeah. You have to. I mean, one thing I know for myself, right? Because I'm not sitting here pretending, oh, I came from some rough background or whatever. Like, I'm blessed. Like, I'm super privileged in many regards. But I've created my own hardship in many ways, right? Like, there are ways that, you know, in terms of whether it's your career or it's, I mean, what even is going to the gym? Going to the gym is going and artificially creating resistance, whether to build your lung capacity or improve your cardiovascular system or increase your muscles. Like, our ancestors would be like, what on earth are what's everyone in this room doing? Why don't you just do your farm work or do your work?
Right. I was talking about this recently. We had we purchased like wild caught salmon or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, so people in the U.S. who have money can order fresh fish.
Mm-hmm.
Lower to middle class people get garbage farm fish, and then third world poor people eat fresh fish.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing is, like, we have a lake out here. You're allowed to fish, but you got to throw the fish back.
Okay.
And I was like, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Not. I understand we got to throw the fish back. I'm just like, why go fishing for no reason? It's like people like simulating survival.
Exactly. Dude, that's what it all is. Why are people so drawn to sport?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so many of the things that we do when we find impressive, it's like you're making your life harder than it needs to be. You're creating the artificial pressures and why are so many people now getting into MMA and combat sports and stuff like that? It's because you're not going to get it in your day-to-day life, right? You don't need to do anything.
I say we do away with war and we replace it. We replace it with the sporting event, soccer maybe. I don't know.
We already
Football.
have the Olympics.
Football or
though.
soccer. Yeah, well, that'll be
Football.
whoever wins gets to name it.
It
So it's like-
certainly helps. I also, by the way, I think this is part of why so many people snapped in 2020, because all the usual outlets for energy and tension and even just the social it was just allowed to pile up.
Zuby, where is everybody?
Where's everybody?
So we got a pilot shortage, right? We have like medical worker shortages. We got labor shortages across the board.
Didn't they fire a bunch of people last year?
But how do people just stop working? Where does that food come from?
Food is very easy to acquire. But sorry, you mean if these
How are
people
they,
stop
how are-
working?
How are they paying their rent?
Sorry, wait. Let's
Okay, so we have a pilot shortage.
Rewind this. Okay.
Airlines are shutting down thousands of flights.
Okay, I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, pilot shortage.
Is this specifically in the USA or all over?
I think it's all over the world.
Okay.
I mean, it's heavily in the U.S. I follow U.S. news, but a pilot shortage. And I'm like, where did those pilots go? Did they just stop working? And if they did, how are they paying their bills? How
Okay.
are they buying food? But it's not just that. You go to fast food restaurants and they got signs on the door saying like we're understaffed.
I've seen that.
All over the place. We went out on Memorial Day weekend. Nobody. I'm like, where are the people at? Where'd they all go? Where are the workers? How is it that people stopped working and didn't start working again? I don't understand. Like, you're a pilot. What are you gonna do? Go be a mailman? Why would you do that? You're a pilot.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the pilot thing at all.
Well, I just
didn't
mean
know that was
generally
a problem.
speaking.
Yeah.
How is there a shortage of these jobs? Are they just choosing not to hire them back or something? But where's everybody else? How is the people stopped working and they're not working now? Where's their food coming from? How are they paying utilities? How are they paying rent or mortgages?
I don't know. I'm not super familiar with this issue, so I don't really know what's been happening.
I'm
here.
concerned that there's a black market evolving that people don't know about. And I'm really concerned that great, amazing humans that got screwed over by the last 2 years worth of mandates and whatever running out of money are going to turn to nefarious things to get by, like human trafficking and things like that.
I'd be cautious of predicting something that dark.
Yeah, I just want to get it on the table now. So in 10 years, you guys remember I said it first. To put nothing past anyone in desperate times.
I made the joke to Seamus that the rapture happened. And then he was like, well, certainly it couldn't have, because he's devout Catholic.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, wait a minute. What are you saying?
Yeah.
But no, man, look, I mean, obviously, I see people out doing stuff. We went and played pool the other day and had wings. Good fun. A lot of people out there playing pool on a weekend. But when you hear about all these labor shortages, and when I go to like a Chipotle and they're like, we're understaffed, please bear with us. I'm like, how is it possible that people just aren't working?
There is a lot of laziness as well. And again, inertia.
I get it, but like, how are they
getting
food?
by? But hasn't this always been a question? I mean, there's millions and millions and millions of people who don't work and haven't been working for a long time, and they somehow get by. I don't know if it's just welfare or if it's, I don't even know what all the schemes and stuff like that are. I just work, we just work. But there are millions of people in this country, in any country, who don't work. And
but
they're
just
alive.
Yeah,
don't
I suppose.
know. I don't know exactly what they do.
Have we expanded the welfare state to such a point that we can have labor shortages and keep giving them money?
Maybe. I honestly have no idea what the welfare structure looks like here, how much more money is being spent now than was 2 or 3 years ago. I have no idea what any of that looks like.
So they say that the poor people in the U.S. rival some of the richer people in Europe because our welfare system is incredibly
they do.
like deep. There's a lot of layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that might be where they're all going. I think that over the course of the pandemic, they realized, oh my gosh, I don't really have to work.
Yeah.
I'm non-essential, right? I can work from home.
People have pointed out retirement, but that doesn't explain fast food restaurants. That doesn't
No.
explain yogurt shops and burger joints.
I know retirement is one of the ones for pilots, because I did
Yeah.
see something saying that they're not training up enough new pilots
They're raising the age of retirement too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Just quit.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
people
there
are
aren't
quitting.
there aren't enough people being incentivized to become pilots to compensate for the older ones who
This
are
is
leaving.
what bothers me. The U.S. government printed all that money in the last 2 years, and then just started handing it out to people. You're sending people towards bankruptcy, and then they're going to stop paying their taxes because they can't afford to survive. You fools! And then if they're not, then you're going to have a revolution on your hands.
Like the USA,
Yeah,
is,
maybe-
the USA
maybe
is
on
such
purpose.
it's such a fascinating country, because one thing that Americans always forget is how young this country is. I always say that the USA is a teenager as far as countries go, and also it's a giant teenager with 50 states.
It's an angry teenager with a desert eagle running around all pissed off.
Like, there's so many things that are unique about the USA that make it genuinely impossible to properly compare to any other country in the world. It's got so many things that are absolutely unique. I mean, even if someone said, "Oh, let's compare it to all of Europe," it's like maybe that's a better comparison than to one country in Europe.
Well,
but it's also it's so different in so
Abusive
many ways.
father, King George just beat the hell out of him. I got this angry rage from our childhood.
Yeah, we had to emancipate ourselves.
Yep. Yeah.
We had to run away from home.
Like at age 12, it was crazy.
Sibling is
Kids
still up
running around
there
with muskets.
acting all wacky and elitist. I love it. The left has this meme where they're like, the United States, Canada must feel like they've got like a dysfunctional sibling who's walking around with guns, and I'm like,
Who's the size of a toddler?
maybe. I kind of think it's like, Canada is the snooty, frail, sibling who is
Canada's
like,
the Aunt Karen.
Canada didn't run away from home like America
Yeah.
did.
no, but we were the children of the crown, and so Canada was like, why are you fighting? Just do what father says. And we were like, no.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
we had
like,
shotguns
let me
back then.
out, let me
honestly,
out.
every time I look at a map or a globe, I'm always like I look at the geographical size of the UK or Great Britain even, which is even smaller, and I'm just like, how
Physics.
It's like the size of New Jersey.
Isaac Newton developed physics so England got the cannons first, and then they could hit long range with their boats, so they dominated the world.
Yeah,
They conquered India. They
Yeah, no,
conquered-
I know how it
Steam
happens. I just look at
guns?
the size of the country.
It's amazing
I'm
what
like, wow.
technology can do for a small like a piece of tech. That nuclear power is kind of like that, nuclear weaponry. Like Israel's heavily armed right now. They're massively influential on the world stage.
Well, we give them money so that they can build weapons.
Yes.
There you go. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Come hang out live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Super Chat will even answer some of your questions. If you want to check out the After Hours Censored Show, go to timcast.com and become a member. We put those up Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. They're very funny, not very family friendly. We'll love to see you there. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.